Hello, good morning, everyone. This is a live stream that I just put together. I didn't have much time to plan it. In fact, I was doing it, I was thinking about doing it on the way back home. I was out and I was driving back listening to a podcast, and something came up that I thought was very important. And I'm going to tell you what that thing is later. But the idea I thought about for this live stream is this question here that I really want to answer because this has been coming up more and more over the last period of time for me, which is how can professionals, full time professionals, create content? So that is something that has been a big, big deal in the last period of time. Let me see if I can get this screen across here. Maybe I can. I don't know what this screen is. I'll have to, let me see if I could put this screen somewhere I can use it. All right, okay, I'm just going to leave it right here. I'm just going to leave the screen right here. But that's okay. So, how can full time professionals create content? And the reason this came up was because recently I put out the top five things, the top five challenges that full time professionals have when it comes to creating content. I put that out in a post, and that is data I had collected from people who did my DIY video checkup, which is basically is a series of questions that help determine what are your major challenges with creating content in three different categories. So, category one is mindset, category two is strategy, and category three is creation. And the interesting thing about that is that category three, which is creation, is the easiest to do and everybody gravitates towards that. But the thing that has the greatest impact on whether or not you're successful with content usually is category two, which is strategy. And of course, mindset is very important. So when I posted that video, some people came in the comments and they gave their feedback and they put what were the challenges. And I want to show you something very interesting that happened inside of the comments. I had somebody comment, a young lady called Ashell, and let me share the screen with what that looked like. So all my alerts are on here. If you feel to comment and you are any comments right now on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, just say hello, just say hi while I talk. And trust me, I'll get you in on this. And just let me know if I'm coming through fully clear because I haven't streamed in a long time. And this is like a very spontaneous stream, even though I seem like I'm prepared for it. Let me share this with you. Let me add this to the stage. So, what happened in the comments? Let me take this off now. I'm going to take this off, right? What happened in the comments is that these are the five things that I shared. I shared that professionals have these challenges. You've recorded a video but never posted it. You edit all your own videos, even if it slows you down. You start and then stop content creation. You make a plan but don't stick to it. And the most common challenge is you feel your video isn't good enough to post. And so Ashell came in the comments. She put some numbers, right, which I was very thankful for. And then I asked her, well, what do you would you like me to go deeper into any one of these topics? And she said, yes, that would be lovely. And which one would you like is what I asked. And Ashell said, how to remain consistent with creating. So I responded to her and said, when you say consistent, what do you mean? And Ashell said, I mean posting videos at least once a week. So Ashell's idea of consistency is posting videos once a week. And I know many professionals or many people who want to create content would have different concepts about what consistency is. But Ashell's idea of consistency is posting content at least once a week. And so I decided, let me just take some time because I have to be inside of a workshop in about 45 minutes with Phil Agnew and in the Roost with Louis Granier, which is another story. So I'm just doing this really quickly before I go into that workshop. But I do have some things to share about this because I thought it was very important and I should address it as soon as possible. So when you talk about being a full-time professional, somebody who has a career, who has experience, who's been working for a period of time inside a particular industry, or somebody who runs a business, you may be a solopreneur, you may have a small business, you may have a medium-sized business, but you are somebody who's working inside of the business and you are essential to the operations of the business. You're not at a point yet where you are not needed day to day. Because some people have a business and the business is on autopilot. They don't need to be in the business day to day. They have time in the daytime, maybe a few hours, or maybe sometimes they can take days off without even having to check in with the business because the operations of the business have been systematized, other people have responsibilities, and they are functioning inside of the business in a way that will allow the business to run. There are some people like that. There are some professionals like that. Those people have more time to create content. But in general, the whole idea of this is that as a professional, your time is limited. And the podcast I was referring to at the beginning of me speaking was I was listening to Jay Klaus, and his podcast is Creator Science, which is one of the podcasts I listen to quite frequently. And he made a statement I found was very interesting. He made a statement that when you are first starting out, that you can bang your problems against time. I think this is what he said. You can bang your problems against time to solve them when you're first starting out. So basically, if you are creating content and for some reason you're having difficulty figuring something out, like you don't know what resolution to use on your recording, you don't know how to make a content strategy, you don't know how to batch content, you can dive into hours of research and figure that thing out. Once you have the time and you have, of course, the motivation and the discipline, you can take time to figure that out. Early in your career, when you are young, when you are in a position where you're part-time working, that is something that is a reality. You can actually take the time to do it. Most of the professionals I know cannot take hours and hours of time to bang their problems against time. So solving some of those things is not a priority in their career. So think about it this way. You want to create content. On one side, you want to put videos out. You want to teach the people in your target market about what you do. You probably want to use it as a tool to get more customers. You want to build your brand. That is the thing that you want to do. In order to do that, you have to learn a ton of different skills. So to get the thing that you want, you have to learn a ton of different things. So you have the skill of video creation, and then you have the outcome of brand building. You have the outcome of career advance. You have the outcome of more clients. You have the outcome of more revenue, more profit, better life. Those are the things you want to get locked down. But on the other side of that, you have a ton of learning that you have to do. You have a ton of things that you have to figure out. You have to get a camera that works. You may have to get lighting. If you're not into that and you want to do your content outdoors, you may have to decide, well, what's the best place to do it? What is the way in which I want to do it? Some people like edutainment. Some people like straight education. Some people like to do classes. There are many different formats. There are a ton of things you have to figure out. And guess what? Even if you want to figure those things out, those things take time to figure out. And as a full-time professional, as somebody who is running a business, you most likely do not have time to go through years of figuring out those things before you start to create the content that will get you the results that you want. So the thing that you want to do is that you want to compress that time. You want to bring that time from a long period. Let's just suppose it would take you 5 years to figure it out. You want to compress that time down to the shortest period as possible. So most professionals do not have time to bang their problems against the time. Do not have time to bang their problems. Do not have time to solve their problems by banging it against time is what I want to say. And so you want some type of guidance. You want some type of education, some person telling you, this is what I've tried, I've tested these things, this is how you should do it. And so what somebody like me or another content creator or somebody who is a coach in content, what they will do is that they will give you the solutions packaged. So you test those things out and see if they apply to you. It may take a few times of testing it out, but the idea is that when you find something that works, it reduces the amount of time you take in order to get the results that you want. So it's a time reduction strategy. So I understand that. That's the first thing about being consistent, is that professionals, people who run businesses, people who are looking to build their career, who are full-time in any one of these things, don't have time to try and figure out and solve all these problems surrounding content. That's the first thing. right? The second thing about that I've discovered that is true when it comes to creating content and working with professionals who are full time is that I don't want you to feel bad about it. I actually want you to do something about it. So a lot of people, they get on themselves. It's like a mindset thing. They say, "Okay, I haven't been able to I haven't been disciplined when it comes to creating content. As a result, I'm not getting the type of results I want. My brand is not being built," and they feel bad about it. They feel guilty. They feel that they've missed the opportunity to be able to build their brand. And here's the thing, it is true that because when we don't do the thing we're supposed to do, we do feel bad about it, and that's a good way to feel. But even if you feel bad about not being able to commit to the thing that you said you were going to commit to, the response to that is not to stop. The response to that is to try again. The response to that is to figure out a way that works for you. And the response to that is not to quit, because what happens is that people with little time, when they encounter a challenge and that challenge is taking away from their time, what they do is that they stop doing it. They put it aside, they put it down, and then they don't engage with the challenge again because it's actually taking them a lot of time to figure out. So that's the second thing. The second thing is that you don't want to feel bad about it. You want to do something about it. And the doing something about it is not spending more time doing anything. The doing something about it is looking for education that can tell you how to be successful at creating video content and how you're going to take all of this limited time that you have and get the most out of it. And then after you figure that out, you do that set of learning, then you start to implement those things for yourself. And so again, you go back to the whole idea of reducing the amount of time you take down to a smaller amount of time based upon the education that you learn. And let me give you an example of that. For example, somebody recently messaged me and said that they really want to create stuff. And their problem in their mind is in the technical part of it, which is the creation end of the spectrum. Because as I said before, you have the three categories. You have the mindset part, you have the strategy part, and then you have the creation part. And a lot of people seem to focus on the creation part of it, which is the end of the content creation process, and the least important, by the way. And so this person was saying, they DM me and they said, I saw that you I wanted to start a mastermind, and because I did put out a post about me starting a mastermind for professionals who are creators, and this will be for more experienced creators. But this person wasn't really very experienced in creating. They tried a few times before, but they hadn't really gotten much traction. They hadn't done a whole lot with content creation. And they messaged me and said, "I saw that you put out a post about having this mastermind. You know what I would like? I would like for you to do some kind of content creation for dummies." Because they refer to themselves and says, "Because I am a dummy who needs help with content creation." And then they said that they normally would ask their own child to help them with, I think it was editing or something like that. Or they described a scenario where in order for them to get help, they had to now go and consult their own children in order to help them create the content. This is real. This is not something that is unreal. This is something that is real. A lot of people who want to make stuff just don't know how. But I think the problem is not so much just trying to just do it, but the problem is, what is your plan? And it goes back to the old adage of saying that, the more you do stuff, the more you focus on the skill and less you focus on the brute force. So the analogy is that if you have to an hour, 60 minutes to cut a tree down, you should spend 45 minutes sharpening your axe. In other words, you should spend 45 minutes looking at the strategy behind how you are going to do it, as opposed to just starting to engage with it. Which is why I always have a love-hate relationship with the idea of just start. Some people who have time can just start. Professionals who have full-time professionals who have a limited time, who are not able to spend hours and hours in research and then hours and hours in experimentation. They want to do the same process, but they want to do less of it because they have less time. They are not able to do the just start thing, because just start, and I know for myself because I've done it, just start might mean experimenting for an entire year. It might mean posting every day for an entire year. And realistically, not many people are able to do that. And so where you want to get to a point with is getting some insights into how you can do the thing and the shortest distance in between starting and actually doing something that works. And so to that person, what they actually need is they need a simple formula in order to tell them what to do, how to do, and the plan to do it, so that when they start actually creating content, it makes sense for them. And what I would say to that person is focus on your plan, focus on your strategy first, and then you can think about the small things such as, well, should I buy a tripod? Should I buy a light? How do I edit this thing? All of those different things can come after. So you put away the just start for a minute, and the just start that you want to do is just start by creating some type of plan. And there are lots of components to that planning process. You have the content strategy, and recently I spoke about your positioning, like how you want to be known in the market, which has helped me tremendously. So you have your content strategy, and you have things that will tell you how to create the content, not the technical part, tell you what to say, tell you who to say it to, tell you the format you can say it in, and all of those type of things surrounding creating your video content. And so that is very important. So if you have little time, focus on having a plan. Do something about it. Don't just feel bad about it. Focus on having a plan. Do something about it, but don't just start. Start by looking into the plan. Take the 45 minutes out of the 60 minutes that you have to cut this tree down. Take that 45 minutes and sharpen your axe, and then take action after that. And the last thing I want to talk about is this, is that the longer you wait, the harder it's going to get to win at content on social media. And the reason for that is because the companies who are distributing your content, the LinkedIns of this world, which is Microsoft, the Facebooks of this world, which is Meta, the TikToks of this world, which is Dance Byte, the X of this world, which is Musk and his side, the Instagrams of this world, which is Meta, the YouTubes of this world, which is Google. Every single one of those platforms are concerned about one thing and one thing only. How is this going to make us money? Sorry, guys, hold 1 second. I have a call coming through. Let me just decline it. Right. How is this going to make us money? How is this going to get us more profit? How are we going to come next quarter and say to our shareholders that we've made them more money? And because we know that is the case, it means that we have to be able to play the game that they want us to play. And it's going to get more and more difficult. And what social media is leaning into these days is not so much the old part of it, which is social, is more moving towards interests and relevancy. So that came out of the TikTok revolution after the pandemic, because TikTok created the For You page, which was actually a revolution in social media at the time, which means people were focusing on the things that they were entertained by, that pertained to them, as opposed to the things that came from the accounts that they were subscribed to. So that was the shift. And since TikTok was so successful in that shift, all of the platforms followed suit, because again, all they're concerned about is how much money we can make, how much profit can we make, how much ads can we run against the content, and how much more services can we run against this content. And trust me, they will change the algorithm as much as possible in order to facilitate their profitability. And so we are subject to the game that they are playing. However, we can play it in a way that is also beneficial to us. And the thing that will be most beneficial to us is that if we become strategic about how we approach our content, because just putting out a ton of content and hoping for the best does not work again. It used to be, there used to be a time way back in the days when if you put out a lot of mediocre content, eventually because you get subscribers, because people might share one or two pieces of your content, then you would get traction. But the way in which the platforms are now designed is that if you put out a piece of content that goes, let's just suppose it goes viral, it does not mean that those people are going to subscribe to you. They are just moving on to the next piece of content that entertains or educates or inspires them. And so, what you want to do is that the whole goal about this thing is that you want to be able to build these long term relationships with people who are trusting in you. Of course, you know the old marketing adage, know, like, trust, which still applies. They get to know you, they get to like you, and they get to trust you. But in order for that to happen, they have to have several interactions with you over a period of time. And the longer you take to start those quality interactions, the longer it's going to take for you to build up that stock of trust and for people to buy from you eventually. And so if you're thinking about being consistent, you have to, number one, figure out who you are, right? That's the who you serve, who you are, that whole who thing in your content strategy. Get your positioning right. Then you have to build out your content strategy, right? And after you build out your content strategy and you figure out how you want to go and approach the market with your content, then you can move into the creation. And through all that, you have to fix your mindset about certain things. So again, the three major categories are mindset, strategy, and creation. The most important part is the strategic part of it, and the least important part is the creation part of it. Although people tend to focus a lot on those tips and tricks about making content and what camera and what lights and techniques for talking on camera and different things. Those are nice to hear, but those don't really move the needle for you in your business unless you have a plan that drives that content creation. And that is the whole point about this thing. So in order to be consistent, you start at the very top. You identify who you are, identify who the people that you serve, you make sure your positioning is correct. Then you move into creating your content strategy, which is the who, what, why, where, how, and when of content, which I've done before. I've talked about that before. And then you go into what works for you, the formats that you want to create. You go into the way in which you want to create, whether you want to be a spontaneous creator, a batch creator, or somebody who does a long form piece of content and makes that into shorter pieces of content. You go into all of those different things. And so you figure out all of the three parts of the content creation process. And then you rinse and repeat that for at least a year. And that is how you end up doing it. That's how you end up being consistent with it. But you have to start not in the doing for this part, although doing is very important and you have to put your hand in it. You have to start in the planning of the strategy, which shouldn't take you very long before obviously you start to do. So that's my whole take on it. I used to tell people just do it. It used to be like Nike a whole lot. Just start. But the more and more I look at how the platforms are behaving, the more and more I look at how content is going, I'm saying it's so much more critical now to have a plan before you start to engage with content, before you start to go deep into what you want to make. It's so important to have that plan. It's so important to not look at somebody who's successful with content and just do it the way that they do it. You have to find something that works for you. You have to find something that is in alignment with the way your life is structured, with the way your business is structured, with the platform that is addressing the problems of the people who are there, who are related to your, who will want to buy from your company or want to take the services that you have. That has to be very, very important. You have to address those things before you just start to create content. And so I would say that don't look at what people are doing and begin to get pulled into that. Make your plan, make the things certain before you start to dump time into creating content. And that is what I wanted to share today. If you all have any questions, you can let me know. Let me see if there are any comments. I'm not seeing it. Can't post comments. Okay, I'm not seeing any comments right now, but that's okay. Before I go, because I have this workshop to go into, I just want to share with you all that my website is live, it's jumabannister.com. And if you want more help like this, you can subscribe to my newsletter. I think this is my newsletter. I didn't double check it, but I think this is where my newsletter exists on my website right now. Just so you know, let me stop this share here. I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I'm going to add this to the stage. Okay, can I add this to the stage? Okay, not this one. This thing is going so crazy. It's going wonky. It's all over the place. All right, there we go. Let me stop this share right now. Let me remove this. Right. Right. Stop screen, and let me add the screen now. Share screen. Share screen with this. Let me just add my thing here. So this is my website right here. If you want, you can sign up to get your free video checkup here on my website at jumabannister.com. You can get the free checkup here. And if you go lower down, you can always sign up for my newsletter as well, which will give you tips like this that you can use in order to start planning your content. Yeah, and so that's it. Thank you so much for joining me on this very short live that I haven't done in a little while. And hopefully we'll see each other soon. And don't forget to make useful content. Bye, everyone.